Well, hello, my silky friends. Okay, I'm going to start a little bit differently because I know a lot of people who watch this video are going to be coming. You've never seen this channel before. So, welcome. I'm Silky. I generally do true crime and advocacy type of stuff. And my viewers know that I'm a nurse. I'm a correctional nurse, and I have been nursing for decades. And so I just kind of wanted to preface that by saying if you're a nurse watching this, you know, we don't really go, that's not our hobby. We leave work, we want to leave it there, right? And so I know for my regular viewers, I know this is super early. So, yeah, sorry, just catch it on the replay, and I will, welcome comments and questions that you have down there. But there have been some news stories that have really gotten me upset the last few days. Um, I'm going to try to make this live stream a little bit shorter because I'm literally going to hang out with the officers. I'm going to go to the shooting range. So I wanted to get this live stream out there because this is so heavy on my heart. Um, the last thing I normally want to talk about is nursing. And most nurses know if you've done it, sometimes nowadays, just a few years, you suffer burnout. And there are a lot of reasons for that. One is it is one of the most stressful jobs you can possibly have, I promise you. And I've worked in a lot of different industries. Okay, I've taken breaks from nursing over the years. I've done, gosh, darn near everything, including being a radio DJ. Okay, so I've taken major breaks. And sometimes you have to because you know how bad it is. Because nurses not only get flack from it's not even usually the patient. Sometimes it's the patient. It's usually the patient's families and definitely the hospital administration and doctors. And this, what we've been seeing in the news, all of these horrific things, really, it's not surprising. I would have thought that we would have seen this way sooner, way more often. Good morning, Hiawatha, Pam, and Samantha. Uh, I'm going to just dive on into here, okay? Because let's start with some really distressing news, all right? I'm going to start first with, let me go where I can see this better. This is at West Palm Beach, and this article came out on February 26th. Okay, so it was just an hour ago. Oh my gosh. All right. So you may or may not have seen the news about a nurse being attacked at the hospital. And now it says the family is outraged after nurse was, we'll just say, assaulted at Palms West. 911 call raises questions. When I read this, I want to say I was shocked, and I was. I'm shocked that they actually said it out loud. But am I shocked with the thought process? Absolutely not, because you nurses know. You know what we deal with. All right, so let's go. If you haven't heard about this story, I'm going to start with this. The family of a Palm Beach County nurse who was brutally beaten unconscious by a psychiatric patient at Palms West Hospital is speaking out, saying the attack never should have happened. I was angry, to be honest, that someone could let this happen to her, said Cindy Joseph, the nurse's daughter. Her mother, 67-year-old Lilama, or they call her Leela, a 21-year veteran nurse at Palms West, was attacked Tuesday night inside a third-floor hospital room. The suspect, 33-year-old Stephen Scantlebury, was a psych patient at a Baker on a Baker Act hold. Now, that's a whole other situation. We'll talk about that. Basically, it has to do with the kind of patients and the level of violence, the level of instability that they have. All right. But that's not what this is about. He should have been sent to a facility designed to handle mental health crisis, the family says. Scantlebury escaped the hospital after the attack and was later arrested while running down Southern Boulevard. Um, Now, the nurse was airlifted to St. Mary's Medical Center, where doctors found nearly every bone in her face broken, along with brain bleeding. All right. Now, it goes into the fact that, again, this was not a Baker Act facility. In other words, this was not a facility that should have been taking these very unstable people. All right. You have, just like you have levels of trauma centers in, ERs, you have trauma one, trauma two, this was not a high level psych unit, because a lot of people go into psychiatric hospitals, they're depressed, they're not violent, they're just depressed, they're whatever, struggling with something. All right, so it says, quote, I read that he was acting delusional in the days leading up to the attack. Those would have been flags for people to step in or maybe add security before this incident happened. It was preventable for sure. Her brother, Chris Law, says seeing their mother in the intensive care unit was devastating. But now here is the part that makes me furious. And I understand this family, and I probably will dive deeper into this. So WPBF 25 News exclusively obtained the 911 call made from inside Palms West on the night of the attack. In the recording, the hospital executive appears more concerned about the attacker than the unconscious nurse. Oh, color me shocked. Look, I know. I already know where this is going. I just can't believe he said it. 911 dispatcher, quote, you said they assaulted the employee until they passed out. Hospital executive, quote, yeah, unconscious. I'm not worried about that part. Of course you're not. I need the Baker Act to dealt with. Yeah. Because all you're worried about is lawsuits. You're not concerned about the safety of your employees, as every nurse who has ever stepped onto any floor knows. You know who has your back. It ain't the hospital. It ain't the doctors. You better have some good friends who are, with your coworkers. Better hope you got some big burly nurses. Security's not going to get there fast enough. Ooh, I'm already hot. I'm already hot. Sorry. And I'm like, I know it's early in the morning and you got the bed head and the swollen face, but hey, I was so mad. I had to start talking about this. Yeah. He acknowledges she was unconscious. Yeah. He assaulted her that bad. Quote, can we put that on a t-shirt? Quote from the hospital executive, I'm not worried about that part. No, we know. Your nurses, we know. You're not worried. You're just worried about how we reacted to the situation. Because you know what's going to happen? And maybe not in an assault this bad, because I am going to scream this from the rooftops. But what happens when you are assaulted as a nurse? You get called in by administration and they sit you down in a chair and they say, how could you have handled this better? How could you have handled better if you lose your temper as well because you walk into a room, you're happy, you're good, you just come in there to do initial assessment and the family cusses you out first breath, they don't know you from Adam's house cat. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, okay, I didn't have enough coffee for this. If you say anything back, you're sitting in that chair talking to hospital admin, trying to explain your actions. Okay? That is the God's honest truth. Because no matter what that family or that patient does, it's somehow going to be your fault. You could have acted better. Well, so could they have. But you are taught very early that You are not allowed to have emotions. You are not allowed to get upset and angry, and you're certainly not allowed to defend yourself. Now, I'm sure she could have defended herself in this situation, but she was 67. When I tell you the amount of anger I have at this hospital executive, there are no limits to how furious I am. Do I know, again, that's what's going through their head? Yeah, they're not worried about that. They're worried about the Baker Act because that's illegal. If your facility is not graded for that, why did you accept this patient to start with? Yeah, now you got some legal trouble. Don't care about the nurse that could potentially pass away from this. No, you're worried about the lawsuits. All right. Let me take it down a few notches. Okay, nurses demand action. Yes, we do. The attack has sparked outrage among healthcare workers, with nurses rallying in West Palm Beach demanding better security. We are the world, we are the nurses. Okay, I get all that. Extra security would be great. Again, are they going to be with you with every patient? No. No. You can have a security guard on the floor, but when you walk into that room, you walk into that patient's room and they go off, not even blaming the patient. I don't know what the deal was, okay? Mentally unstable. You walk in that room and guess what? You're on your own. Because you might have a security guard down the hallway, but they can't get you in time. All right? WPBF 25 News reached out to Palms West Hospital for comment asking these questions. Why was Scantlebury admitted despite the hospital not being a Baker Act facility? Yeah. Why was he left unsecured in a regular hospital room? Oh, that's a big problem. What is their response to the CEO's remarks in the 911 call? Yeah, I would be interested. I have not heard the 911 call. Sorry, I hope my cat doesn't stop the live stream. Okay. Last week, a spokesman released this statement. Our primary concern is with our beloved colleague, Horse Feathers. I know better. So does every nurse listening to this. And we are praying for her recovery. We are also providing support to our hospital staff who are understandably shaken by this incident. You think? The attack on our nursing colleague happened within a matter of seconds. And see, that's what I said. Within a matter of seconds when you walk in that room. And was witnessed by multiple people who came in to assist. We are grateful to the Palm County Sheriff's Office who acted to detain the suspect, and we are assisting law enforcement in their investigation. Of course you are. You're going to watch all your P's and Q's now, right? Because there could be a huge lawsuit. And I hope the family owns the hospital. I really do. I don't see it happening, but So, meanwhile, Leila remains in ICU, but she was taken off the vent Monday, so thank God for that. Scantlebury remains in the Palm County Jail, charged with attempted second-degree unaliving with a hate crimes enhancement due to statements he allegedly made to deputies following his arrest. So, I am very interested to know, was he just mad at the nurse? Because sometimes they are. Let me go back to where I can see what y'all are talking about. Sometimes they are just very, very angry. All right. They're angry because they don't get the medication that they want. They don't get a certain pill. They want a shot. Like, look, I deal with it every single day. They get mad. They call you names. They cuss you out because they don't get what they want. Now, True, I work in corrections, so it happens to me way more often. Let me assure you though that my hold on just a second. I just lost your comments. Let me get to you. Hello, hello, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Um, because I don't know what you're saying. Uh, Samantha says it's hard to explain those situations to someone or several someones who don't ever see that sort of abuse. True, true. Nina Kring. Hello, Nina. Silky speaking truth. You are never allowed to react. Expected to smile through it because even a straight lack of smile is perceived as poor customer care when a customer is upset. Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what that customer does to you. You got to take it with a smile. Um, but hello, good morning, artist. Good to see you. Um, Interesting, Nina, about the number 33. Very interesting. Yeah. Um, so let me say for y'all who wonder, because I work in corrections, I would tell you this, and I would tell any nurse this: it is safer, it is far safer to work in corrections than it is anywhere else for a nurse. Okay, yes, I know there's risks, but you always have an officer with you. Okay, you just do. You have an officer with you. Now, the ability of that officer, and I mean, I've worked with some officers I absolutely knew he's not going to do anything. However, the culture of my particular jail is the inmates are usually repeat offenders, as most are. I mean, they already know the consequences of uh, even just being disrespectful to the nurses, okay? The administration in the jail has my back. Now, I recently took a hiatus. Sometimes you just got to break. I tried another thing. I was in another facility, had nothing to do with corrections, and we kept our doors locked, after, I guess, 5 o'clock. And we had an irate patient, and it was actually suggested, hey, really watch who comes to the front door, because we had to buzz them in to see their family. Of course, they're allowed to come see their family at any time. And but we were told, uh, watch out, really watch out. Okay, we had an employee who was off the chain. They're like, be careful in the parking lot. People have been assaulted in the parking lot at night. And we also know that irate, grieving families could charge up in there with a weapon and just, it's happened. Um, and I thought about that. I thought, this situation that I find myself in would never have happened in the jail. Nobody's going to bust through the door. Not up in medical anyway. Happen to be somewhere else maybe. Um let's see. Yes, Pam. Yeah, there's a shooting. There's been several. So let's go on to some more. But this one was the one. This was the catalyst. The West Palms Hospital was the catalyst that absolutely made me furious because of the hospital executive's response. All right. I am sure I'm going to cover this way more. I feel like, and I know y'all, a lot of my audience are Delphi people and other cases, very big developments in some other cases. But, and I'm not going to stop talking about that, but I really feel like that this is an advocacy that needs to be done. And it needs to be done by somebody who has lived it. And who's lived it? The nurses. The nurses. And I think I'm appalled when I think we haven't ever spoken up, have we? Have we ever banded together, y'all nurses, and just said we're not taking this anymore? Maybe we should have a nurses' bill of rights. right? Patients have a Bill of Rights. Why can't we have a Bill of Rights as well? All right. When we walk into a hospital or a doctor's clinic, and y'all nurses who work in places like Suboxone and methadone clinics, you know, you're afraid to sometimes go out in the parking lot because you know somebody didn't get what they wanted and they're violent. I want to know, in some of these cases, I want to know how, in one, they ever got past the front door. But let's go on with more media. All right. Because this is only one. There's so many attacks that have happened in the last couple of uh, days or weeks. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, this is on February 6th. All right, still. This is in 2020. This problem ain't new. Louisville Emergency Department nurse shines light on nurses being attacked by patients. All right. So it goes on to it talks about, and I'm not going to read all of this, but this is from Louisville, Kentucky. Waking up when the morning is still dark, Jerry Lucas gets into his truck for a 45-minute drive to downtown Louisville to University Hospital. He says, "I'm always wondering, how is today going to go? Will I have someone that will strike out? Or will it be a day I'm actually going to see patients that need care and who appreciate what we do?" Sometimes. Because for Lucas, helping others is in his blood. And so it talks about how he was a combat medic, et cetera, et cetera. And now he works in the ER. Now, let me tell you something. ER nurses, I've worked ER before. ER nurses are some of the biggest targets. All right. I remember one time when I was working ER, we had he basically came in DOA and we had to keep his body until the ABI came to investigate. But he was unalived, point blank, at his door. Knock on the door, opens the door. It's over. All right. As it turned out, it was can I say that word? Group of people who do nefarious things. Okay. Members. I guess I can say it, a gang member. It was a war. It was a war between two factions. And this was not in the city that I live in. I had taken a job a little further out. And when they realized it was that kind of situation, we were just waiting for both gangs to show up at the ER and start shooting up the place. Okay. We especially the opposite one, we expected them to show up at ER for sure for vengeance. It was a very anxiety ridden shift. Okay. Until they took him away. And this happens all the time. And that's why you see going into ERs a lot, you see we're the metal detector now. Because people are just coming up in there. They don't like what the doctor said. They're mad because somebody is in there. It was a whatever. They just carry it to the hospital. He says, and this is Lucas, he says, "It's a tough job. I've been punched in the jaw and punched in the neck. I've been spit on before. Same. I have had bodily fluids thrown at me. Same." He's not the only one. WDRB News requested employee assault reports from University Medical Center over the last 4 years. They reveal hundreds. What? Hundreds. That's hard to read. I'll just tell you. Of instances of hospital staff being physically and verbally assaulted, from broken bones to concussions, being kicked, choked, SA'd, with utensils, and pregnant nurses being punched in the abdomen. The list goes on. I have known of that as well. In Kentucky, most of these types of assaults would be considered misdemeanor crimes, but by law, the same thing happened to an EMS worker, it would be, but by law, sorry about that. If the same thing happened to an EMS worker, it would be a felony. Lucas says, when does that make sense? I'm with you, Lucas. Why are we not covered? Why are we not talking about this more seriously? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? If you get mad at your McDonald's burger and you want to come in and slap the server, that's assault. Okay, that's a crime. When that happens in the hospital, no. We are sat down again in the administrator's office or in the charge nurses, the floor, head of the whole department nurse or the DON, and we are talked to and we're asked, how could you have kept this situation from escalating? How could you have done better? Why is it my fault? And why am I not protected? Why does hospital administration or any facility administration make you feel like you are the one who is doing a poor job and you are the one that caused this assault that you are dealing with? And they never say, hey, you know what? This is assault. This person was alert and oriented. They're in other words, they were in their right mind. They knew what they were doing when they hit you. We're calling the police. We're doing a police report. You will never hear that from hospital administration ever. As a nurse, you are expected to take it. As a matter of fact, let me tell you this. And I'm sorry, I can't see your comments right now. I was in a situation, and this has been a long time ago. I was pregnant and I was working part-time. I was dealing with a man with a brain injury, okay? No fault to him. If you're a nurse and you've ever dealt with traumatic brain injuries, it is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. Okay, so this guy wasn't that old. He was very debilitated. He wouldn't sit still. He wouldn't, be quiet. He was all over he was a danger to himself. That primarily to himself. And I kept saying, I need help. I need help. I had a whole nother job. And they sat him in a chair beside me, the pregnant one. And they said, hey, you're going to have to do one-on-one with him. You have to do your whole other job, but you also have to keep him here and make sure he's in the chair. Me? Okay. And I tried calling the family. I tried calling somebody to come sit with him. I literally can't do this. First of all, I can't jump out of my chair every 5 seconds. I was like, I don't know, 7, 8 months pregnant, and it'd be like, it took me a second to get up. Bad situation. This rocked on for hours and hours as I would tell him to sit down, blah, blah, blah. You're going to hurt yourself, yada, yada, yada. Again, I wasn't angry at the patient, all right? He literally could not help the state that he was in. But finally, I called the doctor and I'm like, look, can we get a shot of Geodon for this guy? Okay, because literally he's going to hurt himself. It's not just that I can't handle it anymore. He's going to hurt himself. He can't walk, but he thinks he can. He just keeps standing up. So the doctor says, sure, you can give him a shot of Geodon. So I go get the shot. I come back and he's, flailing all over the place, talking out of his head, doing this number. And I asked the other nurses that were at the station with me, hey, I need some help. I'm going to have to do this shot and, I'm going to have to do this injection and he literally won't be still. Can y'all come distract him? Maybe somebody hold his hand so his arm will be still long enough for me to do this. The other nurses at the station were like, I'm busy. I can't right now, as they're sitting on their rear ends. If you're a nurse, you know, because you've worked with those kind of coworkers. I'm like, please, please. I'm asking CNAs. I'm asking everybody, please, can somebody help me? Literally nobody in that facility would help me. And I mean, I know he's fixing to go face forward. So I'm like, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to do this by myself. And I'm talking to him and I'm like, okay, okay, Mr. So and so. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this quick. If I can do it quick enough, I can, we'll be done. So I stand up. I give him the injection, at which point, I mean, a shot hurts. He immediately just does this. He does this with his hands because he's felt like a little bee sting in there. Completely normal for him. But what happens is my needle, as he bumps my arm back because nobody's holding him, it goes back and then I immediately jab myself. Literally stick my own self. Okay, that's bad. A dirty needle stick, I've had several. It happens. No matter how careful you are, sometimes it happens. But I'm very pregnant with my daughter. And I was, I was like, okay, so it's in my hand and I'm just like, I'm doing what you do. You push all the blood you keep pushing blood out and blood out and blood out and run it underwater till you don't bleed anymore. Okay. I report it and then I look up his medical history, like his diseases, because I know his basic medical. I know what he's in there for, but I don't know his history. As I find out, he is HIV positive and Hep C positive. That's nice. That's nice. I just got a dirty needle stick. Okay, in that situation, again, do you know what happened? Yeah, they were irritated because they were going to have to test me for 6 months to see. I had to get a baseline blood draw that day to make sure I didn't already have a disease. And then for 6 months later, again, I was sat down and said, and told, now why did you give him an injection like this without help? Are you freaking kidding me? I think I probably lost my temper on that one. I begged, I called, I asked every nurse in the building, I asked every CNA. Everybody was too busy to help me. And I never, as a big fat pregnant person, should have been given this task to start with. They just looked at me. Well, next time. You know what? There's not going to be a freaking next time. Especially if these things are positive. All right. So, don't worry. I tested out. I've been tested this is like almost 20 years ago. Been tested numerous times. I thankfully did not catch anything. But how different would life have been if I had? Again, who had my back? Not one person in that facility, not one. These are the things that nurses go through every stinking day, every shift that you walk in. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. And y'all nurses, you know what I'm saying. All right. So, man, I didn't think I was going to go on a rant this morning. Jeez, sorry. So basically, that's what happens. And I'll just sum up this article. And Lucas says, quote, I'm a nurse. I care about people, but I don't deserve to be beat up or cussed out at work. No, you don't, Lucas. Neither do, and my situation is completely different now. Honestly, because I work in corrections. Whole different world. You never get sat down in corrections for something like that and said, how could you have handled this better? No. Because the officers already know. The officers, different world. And this is why I love and appreciate my coworkers, my fellow officers. This is why I back the blue, whatever. Couldn't do my job without them. I could not. They're awesome people. Let's see. Yeah, all those things. I'm trying to catch up, and I'm gonna have to go back. I'm just gonna tell y'all I'm gonna have to go back and uh and read your comments afterwards. All right, what time is it? Because like I said, I'm going to the shooting range. Let me see. Let's look at another one. Again, these things have all happened. Well, not that one. That one was from 2020. Um, there have been three because I shared it on not on my personal Facebook page. I shared it. There's been like three assaults on nurses in the last week or week and a half. It's insane. Now here we go. This is a horrific story. Um, but again, you can see the way it's shaped. Okay, and let me make this a little bit bigger for y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. All right. Now, if you remember, because I heard this, I was at work day before yesterday. I don't know. I think that's when it happened. At UPMC Memorial Hospital. Here was the situation. A a guy who his wife was in the ICU. She passed away. Okay, I don't know the circumstances. I don't know what happens. Do you have bad nurses and bad doctors? Of course you do. Of course you do. But his wife had passed away, I think maybe a week earlier, and he comes in. Okay, grief does crazy things. All right. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know who said what, or if it was just grief, just anger that his wife passed away. But there is kind of a backstory to this. So let me I actually want to see if I can make this bigger again. All right. Let's go. Let's go. You ready? Let's go. Um okay. Now uh this was on Saturday. Gosh, it's Wednesday. I don't know, time flies. Um or maybe it was last week. I don't know. It was sometime this week when I was working this news broke. Okay, but this article came out on February 22nd, 2025. A hostage crisis at the UPMC Memorial Hospital ICU on Saturday morning left a West York Borough police officer and gunman unalived, while 5 others were injured. So basically, and it says Officer Andrew Duarte was unalived as a host of York County police officers responded to the hospital and confronted and unalived the gunman, and his name was Diogenes. They always call him Archangel Ortiz. I don't know, but anyway, he entered the hospital around 10:30 a.m. armed with a pew pew and zip ties. Okay, so he wasn't just mad and he wanted to scare people. He had a plan. He had zip ties, and this, I think, is what is going to hang him in court. Um, I think any chance of just being grief, it's one thing to have a weapon and wave it around and threaten people and all this kind of stuff, but you absolutely had a plan. So, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, this is premeditated. You can have a weapon in your car and just get upset. You know, you're driving down the road and then you just start thinking about your wife and you start thinking about all this stuff and you just like, "Ugh," you know, it could be passion, but not with zip ties. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. So anyway, he basically goes into the ICU, and the same doctor and some of the nurses that took care of his wife were there, and so of course the police were called. He held them hostage. Basically, he zip tied them, held them hostage. I'm going to try to condense this. Um, and there were injuries. Now, when the police came, they ended up having a shootout, and one of the officers unfortunately passed away. Um, a nurse and a custodian at the ICU were wounded but are listed in stable condition, while a doctor sustained a grazed wound. The DA did not disclose their names. Um, But now, what I will tell you about this, I mean, great response by police. I get it, you know. Um, but as it turns out, let's go down here. Court records show that Archangel Ortiz faced a harassment charge in 2016. On February 13th, 2 weeks before Saturday's incident, he was charged with driving on a suspended or revoked license. Okay, that doesn't bother me. But there is another one where he had a restraining order, and this is several years ago. Um, people are upset. Some people are upset because he was unalived. And, they're like, "Hey, the police." I'm like, You understand, sometimes you have to use deadly force, especially when you have a pew pew pointed at you, all right? And you're defending other people and other patients. I thought it was on here, but he did have a restraining order from his wife, actually several years before. So he had kind of a violent history, right? Of course, you don't know this. That's the thing. When you work in a hospital, you are just seeing the patient. You're seeing their family, their friends, whatever. You don't know who any of these people are. You don't know what kind of charges they have, what kind of criminals you don't know. I mean, you're not allowed to ask, and you probably wouldn't think to do it anyway. For a nurse, you're going into the situation trying to take care of that patient. You're not thinking about, "Oh, I wonder if the family member has a rap sheet." No. I mean, sometimes, honestly, sometimes when somebody walks in, you're like, mm-hmm, mm. But you don't say anything. Anyway, so they had a memorial service. That's what this, actually, my thumbnail is about. And I hate this. I hate this. And absolutely, Duarte was a hero. But again, a situation that never should have happened. And I say this because my question is, how did you get into the danged hospital with a weapon? Why didn't the hospital have a metal detector? I think everybody, I'm trying to think of all the hospitals. Now, I remember when we didn't have that kind of stuff. All of the hospitals that I can think of in my area and even further out, because when I was doing marketing, I went into a lot of those. They have a metal detector. They definitely have somebody standing at the door. All right. A security officer making you go through. Um, Usually somebody, I can think of one place in the ER that does not, I don't think, unless they put it in. But some hospitals are stepping up. I just want to know, really, how you got in there, because but the metal detectors are up now. Let me look and see what y'all are saying. True Tammy. Hello, True Tammy. Um, the dangers surrounding dispensing narcotics expanded to 24-hour pharmacies. They have policies that it will not allow any scheduled prescriptions to be filled between midnight and 8 a.m. I can see that. I can absolutely see that. It is very dangerous. I know just in a clinic that I worked at, and we were absolutely known for our doctor would not write any narcotic. It didn't matter what was wrong with you. You were not getting a narcotic from him. And he was a general practitioner. Great guy. Loved him to death. But there was a guy that came in demanding, I don't even know, a narcotic of some sort. And he was completely unhinged. Now, we were back in those days, I worked in a clinic that was very rural. Like, we were way out in the country. Okay. It wasn't like we were in city. We weren't in the hood. We were in a small clinic way outside of town. And he came in completely unhinged, to the point that, God love him, our little doctor. He was a sweetheart, but he was a little bit of a wuss. You know what I mean? He told us nurses, he's like, "Go see," because it was time to close down. And the guy had come in about maybe 2 o'clock, and we were closing at 5, and he was afraid to go in the parking lot. He's like, "I'm afraid he's waiting for me." He's like, you go out and see." And I'm like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" So I go out, look out the back door. There are no cars in the parking lot. I'm like, "You better run. You better run to your car quick. Go, go, go." And he did. He did. Again, nurses' jobs. I mean, I didn't expect anything, but the truth is, we all knew that it could happen. All right, it could have been a thing. Absolutely, could someone have been out there waiting? 100%. And that's why you get paid very well usually as a nurse in one of these substance clinics where they have you on a um I have to I have to kind of go around the world to say what I want to say. But there are maintenance clinics that keep you off of other substances, right? But those clinics, you traditionally get a pretty good salary because of the kind of people that you work with, and the inherent danger of someone coming in and not getting the substance that they want, because usually that's because they are drug tested and they're dirty with something else, not they were prescribed. They've got some other something in their system, and the doctor's like, "Nope, if you're going to be out doing that, you ain't getting this." And then the war starts. So yeah. Anyway, I let's see. uh okay, so Joey says that they check you very well at the hospitals in Salem, Oregon. Good. Good. um uh and in this case, Samantha says, once premeditation is proven, sympathy will go out the door, in my opinion. I hope so. I mean, I do hope so. Um, I do have all the sympathy in the world for someone who is grieving. It makes you do crazy things. I get it, but at the same time, yeah, this to me says, uh, no, it's premeditated. Um, but yeah, basically, I think I'm going to end this chapter just because I want to look into this and how many. I'd like to see the statistics on how many assaults, because I feel like a lot of what we do as nurses is not even considered assault. Okay. um and we know as a nurse, if you are dealing with someone with dementia, look, I've been kicked, slapped, bitten, you name it. It's happened. I've been chased by, actually, I was in a situation where there was a patient that was alert and oriented who was trying to attack me. And again, now let me just say this too. It was the same facility as the one I referred to earlier. It had happened a few weeks before. And it was a woman. And I'll just tell you this crazy story. She was I she was on the rehab hall, and I think what she really had was a personality disorder. Okay. They're like, "Oh, she's got dementia," but maybe a touch, but not really. I mean, she knew, like, she could keep up with this conversation. She knew what she was doing, which is the point. She was a big old woman. Now I'm 5'2". Okay. I'm 5'2". Big woman, tall. And again, I'm pregnant. Um, she is she kept going into other people's rooms, and all the staff kept telling her, "You cannot just go into somebody," because she would just walk in there, look at the patient, and just start rifling through their drawers. Now, before you say something, I know this is common in dementia patients. Again, it was not that kind of, "I'm not here. look and wondering. She just would, and she would only take specific things like pieces of jewelry, things that it wasn't like regular dementia patients. They'll go in somebody else's room and they'll see their dentures and put them in. So all of a sudden, somebody that does not have teeth, you're looking at them and all of a sudden they got a full set. You're like, oh God, whose dentures are those? She done got in somebody else's room. And it happens. Y'all know, nurses, Yeah, she got a new set of teeth today. We got to figure out who they belong to. Who is missing their teeth? Because she's got them. Happens all the time. But that's not the case, okay, with this woman at all. And so the staff kept telling her, you've got to quit taking stuff out of people's drawers. Like, you're not allowed to go in other patients' rooms. So, she wouldn't listen. So I walked down. I was the charge nurse. And I went down there and I said, look, I was not mean, but I was firm. I said, you cannot go in this lady's room, because she was trying to get in the door. And I'm like, no, you cannot go in there. This is not your room. You know that. You have to stay out of here. And she looks at me and she starts screaming, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like waddling, because I could see she wasn't kidding. And she was a big old woman. So I start waddle running down the hall. And I'm screaming to the staff, again, at the nurse's station, hey, I need some help here. They literally all sat and watched me as she's screaming and trying to, like, she just couldn't go fast enough, because I was younger. We were both debilitated. She could not catch me. And the only thing that saved me from a really vicious attack was this is back in the days before EMR charting, and we had a big rack, and it would swing, a big rack of charts. And I got on the other side of it, and every time she would try to come around, I would just swing the charts, the big rack around, so she could not actually physically grab me. And the other nurses are sitting there just staring. And then they laughed, and it was like a joke for a long time. Oh, yeah, I remember that day, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, I did not find it funny. I'm like, yeah, I noticed how nobody helped me. I noticed how y'all all sat here and just thought it was hilarious. I wonder what would have happened if she had assaulted me, because I can tell you, I would have pressed charges on all of you for not assisting. Don't think I wouldn't have called the board of nursing, because I would have. Anyway, yeah, I was done with that facility. Okay. This is again, this is routine. This is routine, what we deal with. Hey, Grizz. Hey, woman. Nancy Drew. All right, I'm going to end this because I know that most of you are interested in some of the other things. There's some big news in the Micah Miller case. And by the way, today is the anniversary, unfortunately, of Sebastian Rogers going missing. That still bothers me. It bothers me on a lot of levels. But yeah, I probably will do more videos than I will lives. But I am so happy to see you here. Of course, we'll still keep you updated on Delphi. You can follow me on X. I retweet a lot of stuff on there. But yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go have fun and play and shoot at the range and have a good time and enjoy my day off. I love you all so much. I appreciate you being here. If you're on the replay, or if you're on comment below, if you are on the replay and you're a nurse, I would love to hear your story. If you have a story, honestly, I feel like this is something that I really need to dive into, because nurses were unprotected. We just are. And we always have been. And nobody has your back. If you go to court, they'll tell you the doctor's not even going to agree. The doctor's not going to have your back. The admin is not going to have your back. That's why nurses take out malpractice insurance. And we're all encouraged to do that. because they know literally in court, it doesn't matter if you did your job exactly as you were instructed. In court, nobody is going to have your back. You are going to be thrown under the bus. Sorry, Mina, hush. Anyway, we know that. And I think this is I think something needs to be done, a big advocacy for nurses. All right. Again, love y'all. Appreciate you. I will see you soon, either live or by video. Um, Oh, I know what I was going to say to you nurses who have a story or you want to get involved. My email address is silkyandSouthern@gmail. Silky and Southern, please, or comment below. Let me know. What can we do? What can we do? I mean, everybody else is protected, EMS workers, but not nurses. All right. Love you. I will see you soon. Have a great day. It's sunny and warm here for a change, and I'm going to get out and enjoy it. I will see you later. Whatever you do, stay silky. Bye bye.